Hello there, I'm Artistic Gamer 7 and I'm back with another Create a Sim the Flower series video. This one is actually another suggestion from one of you who watched one of my videos. I think it was in the Marigold video, and it was Alice Lane. I'm pretty sure she suggested the moonflower, and I'm pretty sure she mentioned that she had one at like an old house or something and liked it and wanted to see it in Sims form. And funny enough, I actually used to have one at this current house that I live at, which this is the only house I've lived at, so I don't have an old house. My old house and my current house are the same one. But it has seemed to not come back this year, it has just disappeared. But when I seen that someone suggested Moonflower, I was like, yes, let's do Moonflower. And it was sort of different compared to a lot of the other ones I made, because one, I actually made her a vampire, and I'll get that here in a second, but also because she is extremely pale, while a lot of the other ones I made at least be semi-tan to a certain extent, at least a lot of the ones that you've seen so far, and she is definitely the palest out of them all. But the Moonflower, not only does it have the name Moon, so that should almost give part of it away, the Moonflower actually only opens up towards late evening and throughout the nighttime, and closes up usually early morning by the time the sun starts coming up. So basically, if this flower was a human being, it's definitely a night owl, someone who doesn't like going out during the day, out in the sun, prefers the dark, and things like that. So I thought if the Moonflower was transferred over into a sim, it would be one person that is very, very pale, because they do not get a lot of sunlight because they don't go out in the sun. I also thought that made it very fitting for her to be a vampire because vampires, for the most part, don't like to go out in the sun. Most of them die, and even if they have sun resistance, there's still a chance that they have sun phobia. They may be able to resist the sun, but that thought back in the back of their head thinking that sun might kill them is a little terrifying. So I definitely went very pale for her. The Moonflower is a white flower. There's like two other colors that you technically can get, but some don't necessarily always call those a Moonflower, so I definitely was going like full on white. And I went a very different route for her, like almost all over in general. Not only is she pale skin, pale hair, she doesn't have many colors on her at all, but she's also got, the others have more of a tropical, colorful, more happy vibe to them in a certain degree. Tiger Lily was a little bit different compared to some of the other ones, but at the same time she still had a sort of more flowery, girly vibe to her to a certain extent. With her, I definitely tried to go with more edgy, more different, and such. So I used a shirt that I downloaded. If you've seen it in my CC shopping video, I do end up using a shirt that I downloaded there, and I was like, well, let me see how this looks in the game. I wasn't so sure about that shirt, but I really like it on her, and she is, along with Tiger Lily, probably one of my faves. the ones that I've done so far, because I have done quite a few of them, and they're progressively coming out. But she's definitely one of my favorites. She's up there. I just like I love how she turned out. But the Moonflower itself comes in a vine type and also a bush type. Basically, the bush type is more perennial. The vine type is more annual, meaning that the perennial bush type will normally come back every single year, which was the type that I had outside of my house. And it came back for years upon years upon years. It's very strange that it actually did not come back this year. I was actually just outside not too long ago trying to find and see if there's even just a little hint of a plant trying to come out of the ground that was the Moonflower, but from what I can see, there is none. So my hopes of the Moonflower coming back out this year, I think, are pretty much zero. So I don't have one this year, and I'm really sad about it because I really like the flower. I think it's cool that it's the opposite of most flowers. It does not open up in the sun. It does not like the sun. It only opens up for when the moon is coming out, so I always have liked it for that reason. I know there's a few other types of flowers that do open up more towards evening or nighttime, but this is like the big one of them, the one that a lot of people know, especially older people. It is considered an old-fashioned flower to a certain degree, but I loved it. There's the shirt that I was talking about. I liked that it was sort of cool and edgy, and in some ways it looks like it's coming up her back, so that counts for the vine type as well. But, anyway, onto the topic I was saying. So I am sort of a little disappointed that I don't have a moonflower anymore. I don't know what type Tara had, the person who suggested the moonflower. I don't know what type hers was, if it was the bush or the vine type. The vine is the most common one nowadays, so it's the one that you see the most, but it is annual, which means it does not come back every year for the most part. Every once in a while you'll get an annual that will randomly come back. Just really depends on the winter and where you live. But for the most part, the vine type does not come back at all. So if you want to get a moonflower, just keep those in mind. Also, the vine type will, of course, also have a chance of climbing, and it should actually climb at least somewhat from my understanding. Most of them I've seen have started climbing. I think we actually used to have a moon vine as well. We had the vine and the bush at the same time, and it sat near a pole and climbed up the pole. But the moonflower is also related to morning glories, but morning glories are sort of the opposite. They open up during the morning, obviously. So, but it is also said that moonflowers can be sometimes invasive or aggressively invasive, which means that they can tend to spread or take over your garden or whatever, but ours never really did. Ours usually stayed about right where it was. So I don't know if maybe that just depends on the area you're at or where you put your moonflower, but our moonflower wasn't really that invasive or aggressive and spreading or taking over. It does get very large, don't get me wrong, but it didn't seem to move, really. It didn't seem to try to go different places and such, but the pods that have the seeds in them usually fell right back around the same area, and it grew almost back from the same exact area every single time. So I don't know if maybe it's just we got lucky. I don't know. But as you can see here, back to the sim herself, I did get her tattoos. I didn't give many of them tattoos, but I have given like 2 or 3 of them a tattoo. But I really wanted her to have a tattoo, but her skin detail that I used on her to get her to look as pale as she is, but also still living, I ended up having to not be able to use some of the tattoos. Not all the tattoos went over that skin detail, because like the skin details towards the top half of mine, all makeups and all tattoos would go over, and the ones towards the bottom half don't seem to cover up some things, and you can't get tattoos and stuff to actually show. But I am really, really happy with how she turned out. I hope you like how she turned out as well. There are screenshots going on right now, or at least there should be, and such, so you can see sort of just her without her moving. If you have any other flowers to suggest to me, please let me know down in the comments below, and I definitely will try to give them a go. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you liked it. If so, hit that lovely like button and subscribe to see future episodes if you're not already. Also, don't forget to share the video so that others may enjoy it, and maybe others can suggest flowers as well, and we can learn and see more about new flowers out there and such. But anyway, again, thank you so much for watching. All of my Sims 4 stuff will be in the playlist in the description down below, and along with my social media, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!